Tenko continues next Thursday at the same time, 9:25.
Once there were far more tugboatmen on the Tyne, but then there were far more tugs. From 147 vessels in the boom years a century ago, the fleet has shrunk to just 7 today. But few or many, the question remains, just what does a tugboat do?
You're sort of a ship's handmaid in the ship, and, you know, if a ship moves, you've got to be there to move it, you tend on it. You know. If it gets into trouble, you've got to be there to get it out of trouble. If it runs on the rocks, you're there to pull it off the rocks. If it catches fire, you're there. You know. Sometimes they call you pirates, because you get involved in salvage and things like that.
Back to Thursday's programmes now, and question time with Robin Day.
Hello, and welcome to another Question Time for your weekly hour of topical argument on questions raised by our invited audience. Around the table with me, the Right Honourable Sally Oppenheim MP, former Minister of State for Consumer Affairs. She brought in the 1980 Competition Act, which strengthened the law on fairer competition and better choice for the consumer. Like Margaret Thatcher, whom she strongly supports, Mrs. Oppenheim has never preached the gospel of women's lib, but she has practiced it. She went into politics and became an MP when she was the mother of 3 quite young children. Harriet Harman MP is said to be the first expectant mother to be elected to Parliament. She won the recent Peckham by-election for Labour. She has been legal officer of the National Council for Civil Liberties. She can be described as being on the Bennite left of her party, but perhaps her opinions should be allowed to speak for themselves. Harriet Harman's election has brought the number of women MPs to 22 out of 635. That's a wretched 3.3%. I mean, the percentage is wretched, not any of the not any of the ladies concerned. 3.3% compared to this programme, where we often have 50% female around this table and never less than 25%. Mr. Roy Evans is an elected member of the Social Democratic Party's National Committee, and that, or so it is claimed, makes him the first black person to have been elected onto the ruling body of a British political party. Neither of the old parties, Mr. Evans has said, deserves the black vote. Because the SDP is new, it gives blacks greater opportunity to mould it the way we want to see it. Roy Evans is an international tax consultant. He was born in Jamaica and was brought up here since he was 5 years old. And we have Mr. Clive Thornton, who is boss of the second biggest building society in the world. He is chief executive of the £12 billion Abbey National. Mr. Thornton left school at the age of 14 to work in a poor person's solicitor's office on Tyneside. He became chief solicitor of the Abbey National after telling its top management that it was a dinosaur and that he could help sort it out, which apparently he did. One press description refers to Mr. Thornton's extraordinary reforming zeal, spiced with generous measures of iconoclasm, abrasiveness, and impatience. Those are qualities welcome in all who appear on this programme, except, of course, the chairman, who is gentleness and patience personified. There we are, and here we go with Mrs. Rosemary Wells, who is a teacher. Mrs. Wells, your question, please.
Does the panel think that the new stop and search police powers announced by the government today are justified in view of the bitterness caused by the SUS laws and the lack of published information on the correlation between arrests and actual convictions?
Thank you. This is one aspect of the new bill on police powers and criminal evidence. And, well, I'm going to call on Mr. Roy Evans first, and anyone will stop me if I'm wrong. The stop and search powers which exist in London and certain other cities are being extended to the whole country, with some changes in the powers which we'll hear about. Roy Evans.
Thank you, Sir Robin. I think that the short answer to your question is that there is no way that it's going to be easily accepted by many people, especially in inner city areas of London, that those new stop and search proposals ought to be enacted. It seems to me, at least, rather ridiculous that only a few years ago we had the repeal of the out-of-date sus laws, and here we are, a few years later, enacting very similar proposals under a new guise. And it seems to me, therefore, that these proposals ought to be reconsidered and ought not to be enacted.
But can you just explain one thing, if you know, the stop and search powers which we have already in London, are they going to be more stringent under the new bill in London and other inner cities, do you know, in city areas?
I don't know the full details of how more stringent they'll be, but what I do know is that there needs to be a balance between allowing the introduction or the extension of these stop and search facilities. There needs to be a balance with the security and the safety of the individual, because, as the lady said in the question, there is not always a direct correlation between those people stopped and searched and those people who are later convicted. And I think that it's the innocent ones that need to be protected, and we ought to be very careful when extending the right to stop and search, that the innocent ones are protected.
Sally Oppenheim, and do you think the balance of this bill is wrong, as implied by the question?
Well, I didn't think the questioner implied any balance. She selected one particular thing in the bill, when in fact there are many things in the bill which reinforce rights and put into statutory form rights which didn't exist before for those who are arrested, and that I welcome. But when we talk of balance, I entirely agree that people who are innocent should be protected, individuals should be protected. But I think the balance, if there is any, should be in favour of law-abiding people, the vast majority of people who never break the law, including those who are innocent and arrested, who never break the law. Those people who want the protection of the law, the balance of the law must be in their favour and in favour of all who are innocent against all who are guilty. I think the bill, as it stands, represents a fair balance. I think it even goes far beyond. It brings in a number of reforms for people who are arrested. It does increase certain powers. It was the subject of very considerable consultation, and I think the new powers, or the extended powers which exist, are the result of consultation with a number of people who know what is needed.